Microphone is off.
Podcast is live.
Podcast is live, my man. What the heck? We can count down, we can do whatever it is. But you know what happens? When the red light comes on, that's when we are on. So here we are, my man. Good to be back, brother.
How are you, Rodolfo? How's the winter in Australia?
I'm doing really, really good. Even Siri is coming on today, so we are a full packed show today. We got Siri on the line as well, replying when anything, when everything, when nobody should listen. She's always there, right?
Right.
Doing really well, brother. How are you, my friend?
Excellent. As I just said, I'm ready to go off and rhapsodize about abundance mindset, and I know the name of the show is "Nothing Changes If Nothing Changes," and it's finally. I've been doing a lot of like knowledge work and everything, and it really seems to be start being paid off because. Actually, I'll begin with the story and then I'll go into my poem. But this is what happened today. So I needed $50 for a secret project, right? And I didn't have that. I had like no money for it, right? So I went and got a bagel for lunch, and then I went to the lottery store, and as I said, I'm like very tight on funds at the moment, but I bought like $2 tickets, so nothing, so I like put them in, I threw them away, and I'm fully intending to leave and say, well, it's another day of like no lottery success. But on the other hand, like all my like tarot cards and everything, that I follow are saying, you're entering a time of abundance and everything. So I got to the door, and I'm like standing at the door, and said, I'm thinking about my money. I said, no risk, big rewards come from big risks. So even though I couldn't really afford it, I went back and got two more $2 tickets and a dollar ticket for $5, right? So once again, the deuces paid nothing. They were losers. But the dollar ticket, I've had some success with this dollar ticket before, but I got a free ticket. So I said, okay, fine, and I took the same ticket again. Long story short, Rodolfo, $100.
Dude.
So so not only did I get my 50, but I got 50 extra, and it was just like it was like a test of my faith and like the law of attraction and the law of abundance, and it's just like, thank you, Jesus. I mean, this stuff really works, and I mean, like one of the things that like all these wealth development people say is, they're like a million ways to make money. You got to like get out of that 3-inch radar screen mindset where you're just like looking at what you can see, and you got to trust the universe and say, well, actually the universe is a 100-foot screen instead of 3 inches. And if you trust the universe, I did, and so I got $100, and that I think that's like really going to like turn things around. I think because mindset and like attitude is like the is 98% of the problem. So I've been working on my abundance mindset and trying to get out of lack and scarcity thinking and everything, and I've been like making progress towards that. I've been like taking chances and helping people, even though officially I can't afford it, but it's just like wow, so this was a sign from the universe that things really are changing, and I still might be in Hackensack. I might still be in Hackensack, and I don't have my house in Maui yet, but I did do some dream building, and I went on the internet and I looked at houses in Hawaii on the beach, and they were like 1.3 million. I'm saying, I can do that. So my whole attitude and everything is completely changing, and the sky's the limit. And okay, so not only that, but in the last 2 weeks, I've had 3 pay cycles with my financial planning company. We get paid we have the potential to get paid twice a week, and I've had like paychecks from 3 out of the last 4 pay cycles. And today I enrolled my third associate in like the last month and a half. So, and I got my convention coming up in Las Vegas on Tuesday to Saturday, and I'm just like pleased as punch. So, and another thing is my poetry. I've decided, looking at my poetry, I think one of my weaknesses as a poet is I diversify myself too much. I've come up with like all these different forms and everything, and I'm always flitting back and forth between the different forms. But bearing in mind what the Chinese master says, he says, I don't fear the man who knows 10,000 moves one time. I fear the man who knows one move 10,000 times. So I've decided to like really focus on zoonettes, which are my modified sonnets, and I'll give you an example of what I'm doing with that. You ready? I hope I'm not monopolizing the conversation, but
oh, brother, I am. Yeah, absolutely. You go, brother. Don't worry at all.
Okay, this is called dwelling increasingly in the metaphysical. I am beyond your power to comprehend, because you follow an archaic trend to a point that is just falling apart and no longer resonates with any heart that will survive into holy future, run with love by the angels of the Lord, who will lead befuddled humans secure for disease of separation from cord that ties heavenly realm to that of earth, to commit humanity to divine, and reality will at last be fine, and every person will have rebirth, so that paradise will be manifest, since there will be no more curse or test.
When did you write this one, brother?
This was written on Independence Day, July 4th.
Oh, there you go. Oh, nice one. Nice one.
But as I said, I spent my first birthday outside of Hackensack since 1975 in Portland, Maine, with quarantine with COVID. But it was like a omen that I'm coming out of my Hackensack cave, in my shell, the mountain I've been on for the last 47 years. And, it's just like feels so good. And I'm like so confident. And, the sky's really the limit. And, the change is within, not without at this point. But the change will be without soon enough.
I love seeing your progress, brother. I honestly do, man. I love watching, every week when we catch up, this aura that you got about you now, and you're feeling the drive, you're feeling the this new path, I guess, for yourself, and with your coaching that you're trying to bring out there, with your financial situation, business thing, I mean, you're putting yourself out there, and it's beautiful, and taking action is what makes it happen. Wishing it's going to happen ain't going to happen. That it's not going to make it happen, so the important part is taking that action. And
but it's also taking chances.
Risks, absolutely.
Being ready to take chances with the actions.
Absolutely.
I'm at that. A classic example was, going to the door of the lottery store and saying, well, I don't have $5, but I'm going to test this and see if my abundance mindset is really working. And I got $100.
So what's the message? If you have no money, go to the store, get a lottery ticket, and scrape it off, and you'll make the money.
Well, the message is have faith in yourself and in the universe and in God.
Amen to that.
And it's like I say in the poem, paradise will be manifest since there will be no more curse or test. And sometimes you got to test yourself, but the test turns out to be what you needed. So, it was a test of my dedication to my abundance mindset today that I spent the last $5 that led to $100.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Listen, I think life, a life without risks is, pretty much like a flat line. The person who just, life just goes and you see this flat line going on the monitor. I remember very well my dad. My dad was a great man, but he never took a risk in his life. He was never a risk taker, always playing it safe, afraid what people might think and all of that kind of stuff. Where my brother and I, we were always crazy. We were always, jumping into new things. And obviously that came with a lot of judgment from my father because perhaps he wanted to be like that, but he couldn't or wouldn't or whatever. But, he retired eventually and, thought he'd live a long life and been back in his hometown where he was born and hanging out with friends and family and enjoy another 20, 30 years and cancer, stroke, and see you later. He was gone. That was one of the things that for me, was a huge message. It's like, dude, life, you don't know when it ends and you got to take risks. You can't play it safe. What are you playing it safe to? You're going to die anyway. So what are you going to tippy-toe safely to death? Fuck that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, life is about taking chances, about taking risks and falling and failing and doing all of that stuff. And that's the only way you're going to get to where you want to, wherever it is that you want to go. And that's not just financially. I'm not talking just financially. That is, anything, you know what I mean? I mean, if I didn't take a risk, even with overcoming anxiety and start and finding this new way, the ancient ways and all of that, man, I'll probably be dead by now. But, who knows how that would have gone down because I trusted in everyday's, the traditional ways, the therapy, psychology and tablets and all that bullshit. I had to take a risk because that didn't work, but financially as well. I grew a 7-figure business on a promise to do a job that I didn't even know how to do. And I had no staff at all. We were in a waterproofing business, and in one of the projects we were approached to work at the supervisor there. I went, we're having a meeting, whatever, and he asks me if I knew tilers to take care of this project. And it was a big project. It was 64 townhouses. And he asked me if I knew someone that I could refer to him to do the tiling work in this project. And I said, yeah, we do the job. We do tiling as well. It's like, really? I thought you only do, waterproofing and so on. I'm like, nah, man, we do that for sure. And so that was a Tuesday. And he asked me when I could start. And I said, I will start on Monday next week. I just got to organize, a few jobs around and get you the guys here. And so I started to call around. I started to call on some contacts, some clients of mine that I would, do the waterproofing for them. And they were tilers. So I thought, I might get them on board. They can do the job. I can do the waterproofing. I get a cut of their price and whatever. And, everybody's happy. And, but everybody that I asked to come and check out the job, perhaps they didn't want to, have me as a partner in it. So they would always make up all these excuses. Long story short, nobody wanted to do the job. And I arrive at the end of the week and it's, weekend. And on Monday, I got to rock up with the crew and I have nobody, right? And the guy was actually really, really nice. So I didn't really want to, I knew I was taking him, for a ride, but I didn't really want to disrespect him. So over the weekend, I made a lot of calls, couldn't find anybody. And, on the Monday, I'm like, God, man, I got to let him know. And it is what it is, right? So I go to work on Monday and the guy is not there. The guy is not in the office. I'm like, hey, where's Jeff? And he goes, Jeff is sick. I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, that's divine timing. You know, I get me an extra day, right? Anyway, I get out of the office, go down to one of my crew members, to my team, and we had a chat about the job that he was doing and so on. And as I walk away, he yells out at me and say, hey, Rodolfo, do we need extra work? Do you need extra people? You know, do we have room for one extra guy? And his name was Daniel. And I said, Daniel, no, not right now. Probably in a couple of weeks, but not right now, right? And I'm keep on walking as we talk. And all of a sudden I turn around, right? And I say, Daniel, what's his background? Like, meaning, what is he doing? You know, right. What was he doing? What, you know? And he goes, oh, he's a Tyler. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, he's a Tyler. You know, give me the phone number. You know, so I called the guy up right there, and his name was Anthony. I never forget that. That's I'm talking 2013, 2012, 2013. And I called the guy and I say, Anthony, are you a Tyler? He goes, yes, I am. I'm like, dude, can you organize people? I got 64 units for you to do. Can you organize a crew by tomorrow morning? He said, I can't do tomorrow morning, but definitely Wednesday. And I'm like, you got it. So you're in. And that's how one of my business started, which made 7 figures. We used to make a couple of $100,000 every month. So, employed a lot of people out of a dream, out of a promise to do something I had no clue how to do, because I have no clue. Still today, I don't know how to put a tile on the floor. But that is the thing, taking the risk and saying, you know what? Yes, I'm going to do that. I'm freaking doing that. I don't know how, because how is not important. It's what am I going to do and why am I going to do that? That's the important part. The how is easy, because that will then be resolved in a way or another, as long as your why is huge and the what, right? What is it what I want to do? Why do I want to do it? Now, how? Well, I'll figure that out on the way. It's like saying learning to fly on your way down, What oftentimes people don't take risks, they don't try new things. They think, what if I fail, Well, you fail, big deal. Who cares? You know what I mean? At least you tried something. You learned something for sure. Even if you fail, you're gonna learn something. But not trying at all. I think that's the ultimate failure, because one day, years from now, you will look back and you think, man, I should have just tried that thing. I really wanted to do that, but I didn't hold myself to do it. Well, that's the failure, right? It's not actually trying and not achieving the thing. Is actually not trying at all. And my dad was definitely, was a great man, but risks and him was not in the same sentence. It was always safe. It was always like that, you know what I mean? And but yeah, brother, that's in my life, that has always been the thing. Take risks, do shit you don't even know how to do, but say you're gonna do it, because then you gotta find a way, right? It's that's the thing. So even with, going to Peru when I started my path in shamanism, man, I wanted to go, but I didn't organize myself. And then one day, I was on the couch. I said, man, I got to go now. And I remember I sent an email to this retreat, to the center, and I got a, email back on Monday, and on Tuesday it was out. It was that thing. I need to do this, and I got to do this, and I will do it now. And I'll figure out how everything goes along the way,
Well, that's exactly what I'm thinking too. I got like a couple of thoughts about this. Is my wealth development, all my wealth development coaches call it the training balance scale, and that means you don't keep a balance between why and how. You make your why like 99% of your focus. And that's where the universe comes in. If you have if your why is strong enough, then the how will always show up. And that's what I was talking about, the 3-inch radar screen as opposed to the 100-foot universal radar screen. And it's like, if you're focused enough on what you want and then the how will show up. And and for a long time I didn't take any risk. I meant because I had like a lot of things. I meant, am I going to be delusional? Am I going to go psychotic if I do this and everything? And it basically got me out of like, I mean, when I was at Dartmouth, I was like the ultimate daredevil. I meant like saying you're God is like, I mean, I didn't realize how outrageous it was, but ultimately it was like the ultimate like test, your the ultimate risk, and I paid for that risk. I mean, basically for the next 30 years, I was like being psychoanalyzed and being controlled and manipulated and everything. But and that's why I feel so good, is because I really feel that I'm getting back to the essence of Dale, which isn't to say that I'm getting back to saying, walking around telling everybody I'm God, but just having that like carefree and joyful attitude towards life. That and if you have a joyful attitude, then the universe will smile at you and always support you. And I think that I mean, besides the fact that I was scared to death of like permanent institutionalization for a long time, but also like the medication, and stuff like that, that all like snowballed to make me basically a very tentative and even scared type of person, and I got through it, and I think I feel that I maintained my integrity, but ultimately I wasn't being myself.
Man, that is such a crucial part. You sharing the all these medications. I mean, I remember when I was medicated for my anxiety and depression, I was literally a zombie, like literally a zombie. Everything was shut down, and I'm exactly like that. I'm fiery. I do shit. I just jump. I figured it out. Where at that time I was completely numb. I remember one time we went for camping, and we had all these birds and kangaroos around us, and man, it felt like it's like there was no emotion attached. There was nothing, literally like a zombie, and it doesn't surprise me that you felt that way when you were on those things. I mean, I'm not saying there is no room at all for those type of medication, but actually I might say so. I think there's so much more you can do without it. Honestly, it truly is. I mean, it's shown. It's so many studies are coming out regarding all those medications and the origin of them and all of that stuff. But how many people are on freaking medication? They're still depressed. They're still anxious. They're still all of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they take away that part of you that wants to do things, that wants to express, that wants to whatever. But there's a part of us that then is fearful of doing that for whatever reason, something that happened in the past, some part of upbringing, whatever that might happen that have, put us into believing that we can't do that, and now we are in fear constantly, and now they give you this medication and they completely disrupt, rupture your authenticity, your way of being expressive, and so on and so forth, and now you're gonna live a life of fear and constantly addicted to something that you believe that is the one thing that is helping you, when in reality it's holding you back from being. I remember as a kid, growing up with foster parents and eventually with my auntie and uncle in Italy, and I was always crazy little boy, I was always, always expressive, always wild, always like that. But for them, obviously they were elders, and for them, I was not normal. They always would say, "Oh, he's not normal. We got to check him out." And they would bring me to psychiatrists and put, encephalograms and electroshocks and all this shit just to tame me down. Thank God I was able to, thank God something looked over me and didn't break my brain and saved me from that. But yeah, man, I think playing it small, keeping ourselves in fear, trusting in a little thing that you put in your mouth and you swallow, which is definitely something I did as well because I didn't know better. I think that's going to keep you in a life of, a flat life, a life that has not much joy, and you're constantly guessing and double, it's just, yeah, I think the best thing.
Well, basically, I am at. I've had like three parts of my life. The first part was Dale thinking the Dale as a youth, and then the psychotic break where I figured out I was God, and then the next 10 years where I came to Hackensack and I was in the program and basically went back to college and everything. And then I must have told you, but I'll just like summarize for people who are new, but basically in 1984 I had like a brain bang where I had a vision of the world being incinerated in a thermonuclear holocaust, and I called that the death of Dale. And basically I feel that like it was God or some agency was like blowing this personality that thought it was God out of my body. And so for the next 30 years I became Dewey. So Dale thought he was God, but Dewey thought he was an android. And I was an android. It was like I was just like I was a very very highly evolved android, but I was still an android. I couldn't feel and everything. And then the third phase is when Dewey was an android, and his program was stay in Hackensack till Dale comes back, but there was no guarantee that Dale was ever going to come back. And it took 31 years, but ultimately Dale did come back, and now we're like here with Dale without the delusions, without the without all the baggage and everything. And it's been a long process because I've been working out of the Dewey mindset. And I love Dewey. I'm Dewey's my favorite alter ego and everything. But ultimately, it was like divorce, disassociate from your feelings because your feelings are too strong and they're going to get you in trouble. So now I'm back to a situation where I'm able to feel and really like start to live a life that I should have been living back in 1975 when I first said I was God. Because when I remember when I was at Dartmouth walking around saying I was God, I was like saying I was having all these visions of being on Johnny Carson, and Johnny Carson saying tonight our guest is God. It's like but and all that was like people tried to beat the shit out of it. They attacked me with baseball bats for 35 years to like beat that like joy in that. My doctor said I suffered from psychotic bliss. So how can bliss be psychotic in the first place? But just like that joy that I had in life, and for so long people were trying to beat it out of me, and it got more and more suppressed, but it was never eliminated. And now that suppressed joy and that suppressed bliss is finally coming back, and that's why I'm so enthusiastic these days.
Blessings to you, man. It's great to watch. It's great to watch. Now tell me. I heard it before, but it's always great to share our story, no matter how many freaking times we're gonna share it. So how did Dale come back? What allowed Dale to come back?
Well, as I said, Dewey's program was stay in Hackensack, watch over Hackensack until Dale comes back. So, there was no guarantee that I would live long enough for Dale to come back. And I knew that when Dale came back, he would be cured, basically. But so what happened was I just in 2015, I think it was, I just like made a lunch date with this beautiful girl, Nina Sussman, who had been in the program with me, in my psychiatric program with me. I don't know. Just to catch people up, I was in the psychiatric program for adolescents and young adults for 5.5 years after I was first hospitalized after Dartmouth. So it was like the greatest program ever. I mean, there were difficulties. I was hospitalized 9 times, but the girls that were in the program were like the most beautiful girls. And so anyway, I arranged to have a lunch with one of the girls, Nina Sussman, and it's just like I went to this lunch in New York City. I got out of Hackensack and changed my environment and everything, and it was just like swear like Dale's back, So, and then there was like a there's been a transition for a long time between getting Dewey, who who was like the major personality, and like balancing Dale and Dewey. So and basically it's been like Dale's been like constantly coming back, but ultimately the person that I am is Dale. And I mean, when Dewey first appeared, people fought like hell to keep Dale. They wouldn't let me be Dewey, but I knew I was Dewey. But ultimately, Dewey sacrificed himself to be able to keep the body safe till Dale could come back and claim it, without the delusions, without the the baggage of like 35 years of therapy and everything, without the trauma. And so I'm fully Dale now. And as I said, I spent my first birthday since 1975 outside of Hackensack on May 24th because I was in Portland, Maine with COVID. But ultimately, it was like I just feel that was a sign that it's finally time for Zarathustra Dale to come down from the mountain and rejoin society.
Wow, that's amazing. That's stories are so cool. People sometimes say, I don't like to share my story because I already shared it once. Dude, share the freaking story, man. It's that's what we have. It's a story that how did we get here? And we gotta share the story over and over and over and over and over. And it's always beautiful to see the transition and how the person got to where they are. Nothing happens overnight, man. And you look at people and you never know what they are going through. They might seem all serene and happy on the outside, and yet there is agony within themselves. You never know. And once you realize, their story, once people start to express, start to open up, start to share, now all of a sudden you start to really appreciate the person even more, but also yourself, because you have your own story. And oftentimes, I might not even have had, the hospitalization and psychosis attacks or whatever, but that doesn't really matter. There's so many parts of my story that reflected within you, because pain is same, right? Pain and despair and all that. It's not like, okay, yeah, your pain is more than my pain and my pain is much bigger than your pain. Pain is so subjective and individual. And it's pain, man. It's not any different. You know what I mean? And
right.
And when we start to hear people's stories, we start so much to reflect ourselves within the other people. And perhaps that is also a moment where we stop to judge the other person, because at the end of the day, it is all a reflection back. We all have the same fears. We all have the same goals and dreams and whatever. They might be a little different in the big picture, but we all want to strive for more. We all want to feel good. We all want to be happy. We want to be fulfilled. We all want to get up in the morning, have something meaningful to do. We all have that as humans, right? Now, some people take a risk and go after it. Some people let themselves be told, well, you're never going to make that. And actually, by the way, you should take this tablet because then you're going to feel even better. Where instead, it's all going to keep you small in this system of bullshit. You know what I mean? Honestly, and keeps people in that place of agony and unresourcefulness and so on and so forth. And then down the line, you hear people like yourself sharing a story. And hopefully what this is all about, honestly, and this is all, I hope this is happening somewhere to someone, that when they hear a story like yours, they reflect back and said, oh man, this person went through that, I'm going through that, fuck, he did it, I can do this too. And so we inspire upon people to say, you know what, enough is enough. Until today, I did that. I ain't gonna do it tomorrow, and I'm gonna freaking move on with this. I'm gonna live my life, and I'm gonna unshackle myself, and so on. So I always love hearing people's story, and your story is remarkable because, man, you know, I don't know the data and all of that, but you know, I believe a lot of people ain't gonna come out of those institutions, or if they do come out, they just tamed little people inside of some, you know, lounge room, sitting all day and doing not much at all,
Smoking cigarettes,
smoking cigarettes or drinking or whatever, right? Where you, man, you know, you took all of that, and now what are you doing? You help, you want to help others, you know, do you know, how can someone function, how can you help someone, blah blah blah, all the knowledge, you know. And I had a great session with a client this week, you know, and an amazing smart and strong woman, incredibly strong, extremely amazing, that, you know, one career that she had for her, you know, her life came to an end, but she's only young, she's only in her early 60s. And you know, there's this disruption of the identity, right? And now she's kind of like a little overwhelmed, because you know, that identity is gone, and who am I now? Where I shared with her, you know, what you did is not who you are. That's what you do, not who you are, right? And so if we can understand that the identity is not the things we do, but who we are as human, all of a sudden there is no identity loss. But now I said, you know, with all the wisdom that you have, because she has gone through tremendous things in her life, it's unbelievable. But that knowledge, that strength that came through that drive to, you know, she's extremely successful. Imagine you could impact someone else's life, young women, middle-aged women that are in a place where you were, but you had the strength to come through. What if that last thing, this career that you have for a long time, was only temporary, but actually now you are ready to actually do something that will dwarf what you have done until today, because now you're going to embrace who you are, and you're going to share the gifts that came, you know, through the adversities. And so when we start to do that, all of a sudden life becomes very incredibly meaningful, because it's not about you anymore. It's not about being seen on how do I look, how am I, you know, how do they perceive me, how this, how that. Who gives two shits? You know, I was saying yesterday, it was a funny thing because Grace ordered some was it chicken and corn soup, and the person was delivering, right, and Grace and I, and that's a little insight about our own life. We have the same pajamas, so we have Mickey Mouse pajamas, and we actually it's an American brand called MeUndies. We actually have the same underwear. Obviously, hers is women and mine is men, right, but it's the same pattern. So, you know, whoever goes in the morning and has a shower first pulls out, you know, the underwear of the day and pulls out the other person's underwear as well, right, so that we match. So we always match our underwear. But that's a thing that we do because I believe, you know, relationships are nurtured when they are playful and so on and so forth. But anyway, I had my pajamas on, my Mickey Mouse pajama, and the guy is coming to deliver the soup, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go down. And she said, are you going down with your pajamas? I'm like, dude, he ain't paying my rent. I don't have to look a certain way because he ain't paying my rent. I freaking pay my rent. I can look the way I want. And the moment we embrace ourselves that way, that we really do not give two shits about what people think, and have integrity, have value, have morals, and live according to them and stand for freaking something, that's when life changes completely, and nothing can hold you back. And so it's always great to hear your story and hear, you know, your progress and all of that stuff. And, you know, the little stories about buying lottery ticket and believing and all of that, you know, it's beautiful, man. and I appreciate that from you. So yeah,
Well,
that's why I love doing this every freaking Saturday, because it's always something that comes out beautiful from this.
well, one thing that I've been thinking about is for a long, basically since for 47 years since I got taken away, I felt that like every human is a reflection of the light of God, and their position and their identity is determined by how close or how far they are from that light. And the closer you are, the more I won't say holy, but the more like fulfilled and happy you are. But and with me, it's been like sometimes I've been a telescope away from God, and sometimes I've been right up there and like with the microscope seeing Him. But ultimately, I feel that I never have lost sight of the light of God, and I mean, whether you want to call it source or just like the oneness, the quantum field, the oneness of life, but I think that I think everyone is a reflection of the one, and I think that's very important to realize. And when I said I was God, I was like I really feel that I was on a pioneering, trailblazing path. But as time has gone on, I used to say, well, I became God in order to prove I was unique. And I think my life has basically been unique. I mean, the events of my life have been unique, and the program and going back to college and being hospitalized 15 times and everything. But ultimately, what you realize is that everybody is unique, and if you try to put yourself on a plane that's higher than everybody else, then you're just being delusional. And that's really that's why when I said I was God, it was delusional, because I was putting myself in a place of uniqueness that wasn't justified, because everybody is unique. But but the degree to which you realize your uniqueness is really the key to how successful your identity is. And so and that gets back to being the mirror of the one. But I meant when Dale came back in 2015, it was like, okay, I have the essence of God within. I'm a fractal. I mean, we won't go into a fractal universe, but basically, it is a fractal universe, and everything is a projection of the mind and onto an external reality. But just saying, I, I celebrate my uniqueness, but on the other hand, even more, I celebrate the uniqueness of everybody else, and I think that's very important to do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The moment we pull away from the we, and we pull away because we believe we are better or higher or quicker or faster or bigger or whatever, that's the moment you're gonna live a lonely life. At the end of the day, yes, they are your goals. Yes, you got to go after them. Yes, it's your thing. Yet, if it doesn't come back for the good of all, then what's the point? What is the point of doing anything if it's only for you? Like, how much joy is it? It's like having the world's best meal, right? The world best meal cooked by the world best cook, and now you're eating by your freaking self. You're all decked out, the best plates and wines and all of that, but you're freaking eating by yourself. And now you just have a half a slice of bread with some cheese on there or whatever else is on there, and you can cut it in half and share it with someone across from you, and now you have a conversation, you have a shared meal, you have all of that. That dwarfs anything that you just got to do for yourself by yourself. And so, yes, everything starts from us, through us, and going after things. But if then it doesn't get put back into the flow of things, you're having a quite a lonely life, and there can't be too much emotions in it. You know what I mean? And you see that a lot. So there's a lot of people who have everything, a lot of wealth, a lot of this, a lot of that, yet you can you can tell they are living a very selfish and selfish life rather than putting it out there. And you can tell that, where the people who do share it, who give it back, because there's a lessons I learned through my practice shamanism. It's nothing that you receive is for you to keep, but to be shared. And that's the essence. I believe that's my opinion. Someone listening might say, you know what, this is bullshit. It is all for me. It's only me and all of that. But in my life, I learned that the secret to living is giving, and not to become, not to be seen as that. Not to go around and say, oh, I did this, I did that. That's bullshit, because now you're playing another freaking role and you want to be seen as something special again. But doing rather than saying and telling, and I think that's for me what life is really about. So I know you think like this as well, and that's why the progress in your life and the hard work you're putting in every day and all of that is for a good cause, and I know the great thing will come from that. You just hold on and hang in there and keep doing you. Everything else, how will be sorted out.
The thing, yeah, absolutely, the how will be sorted out. But what I'm going to say about the Dale, I call it the Dale Dewey dichotomy, because that's really like sums it up. But when I was in the program in Hackensack, and after I'd been taken away from Dartmouth and everything, and I was like in intense therapy and everything, I always used to say, the only thing that can stop Dale is Dale, and ultimately I took responsibility for myself. But when I had that brain bang, and I saw the world incinerated, and it was basically the end of Dale for 30 years. It was like, Dewey did that. Dewey was my alter ego, and Dewey did the most courageous thing and the most painful thing he ever did by taking Dale out of his body and replacing him, because Dale was on a path not only of complete loneliness and isolation, but also, the meaning of that vision to me was, if I kept saying I was Dale, that I was God, then I would have led the world down the path that would have destroyed it. And so Dewey did the only thing that had to be done, and he took Fred's eternal M16. Dale had one shot from Fred's eternal M16, and Dewey took that shot and blew Dale out of his body and took over Dale's body. But I used to say Dale was schizophrenic, but Dewey's depressed, because he had taken on so much responsibility by killing Dale, or basically killing Dale for 30 years, and it was the most painful time in my life, because how do you mourn for yourself, and so Dewey was really took the bull by the horns and really, did the thing that had to be done to get Dale not only out of his delusion, but also to get Dewey into the possibility of his own self-growth and identity.
Yeah, wow. Man, how do you mourn for yourself? How powerful. Jeez. Yeah. So how was your day today? How was that time when you were hospitalized and all of that? How was life then? Right? We know now how Dale is and how he's functioning and what his drivers are and all of that stuff, and the goals and the aspirations. How was that then? Back then, how was that?
That's the thing, people say, how did you survive 15 hospitalizations? And actually, I love the hospital. I would take vacations to the hospital, because I would be in the program, or I'd be in intense situations, whether Fairleigh Dickinson or in the program, and I would be feeling claustrophobic and closed down and everything. And I would my psychosis would come through, so Doc would put me in the hospital, and the nurses loved me, The doctors loved me. I was always the host at the unit, and I would like welcome everybody, welcome to 6 St. John, and I'd show them around and everything. I was joyful in the hospital. Most, I mean, as I said, after the death of Dale, that was like the darkest time in my life. I was beyond despair. I was like absolutely in the ninth pit of hell, with grief and everything. But, and the hospital got me through that too. But, basically, I would be joyful in the hospital. Yeah, I get pissed off at Doc because, he wouldn't let me go home soon enough or stuff. And I'd feel that I was sane enough to go home and everything. But ultimately, I admitted myself to the hospital 6 times after the program, because I knew I was psychotic. I was self-aware enough to know that I was psychotic, but I was never violent. I was never like suicide. I was only suicidal one time in my life for 5 minutes, but that was like the only time I was ever suicidal. And it was actually a St. Patrick's Day, I think, in 1981 or something. And it was just like, I was just feeling so isolated and so alone that I was thinking, if I had a rope and I could attach it to my shower curtain, I think I would like end it. And then my friend, my friend at the time, my best friend at the time, just gave me a call out of nowhere and said, you want to go out for St. Patty's Day, and bam, that was it. I was back on top of the world, but ultimately, and then when the death of Dale occurred, like I say, I was beyond despair. I wasn't suicidal. It was just like, how can I go on? How can like this charade continue? But I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks, and then my natural resilience came through, and I got out of it and everything. But I'm not proud of this story, but this sort of like typifies how I was in the hospital. It's at one point we had a common laundry, a washing machine and dryer and everything. So what I did one time during one of my hospitalizations is, whenever the new women would clean their underwear, I'd like go to the dryer before they could get to it and like take it to my room just so they could like come and claim that. Everybody knew I took it, but they would come and claim their underwear from me so that I could meet the hot chicks who were on the unit.
That is so, wow. I mean, honestly.
Just so you know, you just changed cameras. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I changed the camera because this camera went flat, and for some reason, and so all of a sudden I was kind of like frozen, looking crazy with crazy eyes. And so I switched to another camera.
I just wanted to let you know. So I didn't know.
Yeah, no. It's all real. It's all real. But, so how long did you stay in that institution?
Well, I went to I went to Hackensack Hospital 15 times, and the longest was like 6 weeks, and the shortest was like 2 days.
Oh, okay. So not long every time.
And then my longest hospitalization ever was my first after Dartmouth. I was in the hospital for 13 weeks.
Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, right. Yeah, wow. Dude, what a story.
But one thing I say is I was hospitalized 15 times and I was discharged 15 times. That's really like my point of pride when it comes to the hospital. I made it out every time without like long-term hospitalization.
Yeah, wow. Shit. And now, so is there anything, so from that time, right? You said the darkest time of your life and so on. What has stayed with you? What are the lessons who stayed with you through that through that darkest time of your life?
the immortality of Dale as a person, as a presence, whether physically or not, just like the immortality uh, of being, not only through my poetry but also just by my presence. And I don't fear death. I really don't think I fear death, because I went through it with the death of Dale. I had 30 years afterwards as Dewey, so I know, when Dale dies, Dewey death will appear. So, but basically it was like the eternity, you know, I mean, people say they want to live forever, but that's really that's a lot to swallow. I mean, I remember like one time I was at Fairleigh Dickinson, and I was like saying, our mission is to walk 2,000 miles to the gates of hell and wait for me there. And that began like a 10-mile walk from Teaneck to New York City in the middle of the night. And so, and that was an interesting walk because I was walking along Route 4 in New Jersey, which is like one of the busiest highways in New Jersey. And on that walk of like 7 to 10 miles, I was passed by like 5 different cars. There were only 5 cars on the whole highway that night. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I find the times that, when we go through those tough times or hard times, in that moment, obviously they feel like they will never end, and it's hard. Yet later on, when you can really tap into those times, man, there is so many gifts, so many things that we can extract from them, right? And use them in our lives now. But also, not only that, we can really pass it on to someone else when we recognize in someone else that they are going through something similar. So that's why when people want to get rid of that past, they want to get rid of that part of themselves. It's such a big mistake, because it's a part of you that will be ruptured away and will leave a void. And to be whole, you can't have voids. You got to embrace both of them, right? But also, one thing that you said, I am not scared of dying. And I believe you are living life in a very fulfilling way. I mean, you love what you do, whatever it is you do, you love doing that. You have a lot of fulfillment out of it. You joy, you can tell. And that's the reason why you don't fear death. Also, that's why you don't want to live forever. Where people who want to live forever, people who are scared of dying, is because they are not doing what they want to do. And they think by having a bit more time, they can eventually get to doing whatever that is. But eventually it's not going to happen, because you don't know how long your life is. And so fear of death that's my opinion, but that's what I also experienced along, doing shamanic work and through ego deaths and all of that. It's that moment where, if you feel fulfilled, if you're happy with what you're doing, if you're happy with what if you know that you're giving everything you have, if you're playing full out, if you're expressing yourself, if you do all of those things, and you know that you have done them all, if today the day is that you got to go, it's okay. There's no regrets. There's no thing that you said, oh man, I wish I had an extra week so I could do that thing, because you already done it. And so you lived fully. And that's also why you don't want to live forever, because you'll be tired. If you have done a lot of shit in your life and a lot of, experiences and memories and all of that, eventually we all going to get tired. We all want to go home. Yet.
Well, I just want to say I do want to live forever. And I meant, but it was overwhelming to actually think in terms of forever. But this was back in like 1988, but ultimately, I remember in Payne Whitney Clinic, the first hospital I was in after Dartmouth, I would say to the nurses, I'm here to learn how not to get bored, because because like life in a mental hospital is like very slow and it's very repetitive and there's nothing to do and everything. So I would say to the nurses, I'm here to learn how not to get bored, with the idea that I don't want to get bored because that way I can live forever. I can always find something to give life a meaning. And, I really don't think about death that much. But what I just think about being in the now and in the present. And, I mean, I've lost a lot of friends in my life, to death and to separation and everything. But ultimately, I feel that my life force gets stronger every day because I'm living in the present. And, I'm really looking forward to the next 2 or 3 years just because I know all the dreams and all the plans that I've like kept suppressed and, not really faced and admitted are all going to come true, and my life is going to be incredible. And, I'm going to be an influencer. I'm going to be, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to meet the woman in my dreams. I'm going to be living in Hawaii and Paris and, all the possibilities that I always maintained that, I just have been suppressed because I wasn't ready to accept the gifts of the universe that it's going to bestow on me. And I think that's a big thing. You have to really you have to grow into the mindset of wealth. You have to grow into the mindset of being able to receive fully what the universe is giving you. But ultimately, the universe will give you everything you could ever want if you just have faith and you grow and you accept the possibilities that are out there rather than limiting yourself.
Yeah. Living in the present, I will be an influencer. I will be doing this. I will be doing that. Living in the present, I am an influencer. I am.
I am. You're right. Absolutely.
That's awesome, brother. That's awesome. Who's a bunch of people in the back there on your right hand side, left hand side?
Over there?
No, over there. Over there, on the other side. The other side.
Those are New York Yankees.
Oh, there you go. See? Oh.
That's like the all century team of New York Yankees. And then there's also a picture of my blood father, my bio dad and his wife. And actually, that's my family. And that's Muhammad Ali. And
oh, yeah, Muhammad Ali.
That my friend Tony drew. And he's also the one who did Mickey Mantle and Joe Torre. He's a self-taught artist, but he's incredible. And so that's that.
What's that? What's that one there? It's green and has a line. Is that the Amazon? On the wall, above Muhammad Ali, there's a green picture with it's like looks like a snake from here. But is that the Amazon or what is that?
No, it's are you talking about above Muhammad? That's just my calendar.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see. All right, there you go.
That's just my calendar. The green thing is just my calendar.
Okay, I see. Good stuff. All right. Well, what does the calendar say for the weekend?
Well, the calendar says next Tuesday, Las Vegas.
Oh shoot, that's next Tuesday. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Already. Wow. And you're gonna stay there for how long?
I'm going on Tuesday morning, and I'm coming back on the red-eye flight Monday or Friday night, Saturday morning. My flight leaves at 12:30 a.m. Saturday morning, and I get into Newark at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, wow. Nice. Well, I guess we ain't gonna do the show next Saturday or your Friday, obviously. But maybe we can do that the day after and see where you're at and what you just experienced and all fresh coming back from Las Vegas. What about that? We could do that.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. If we could put it off a day, I'd be happy to come on and talk about Las Vegas and all the revelations I'm going to have there.
Well, there you go. Let's do it. I think we can, if nothing changes from my side, meaning perhaps going somewhere or something, we can definitely make it happen. We can jump on and have a nice conversation and see what happened for you this week or this next week, obviously, and figure it all out. And so yeah, I look forward to that. Let's make it happen.
Okay. Are we ending? I want to close with a poem. I don't know if you wanted to go on or whether we're at a minute, hour 5. So I don't know.
Brother, you listen. We are the directors, the producers, the writers, the freaking everything on this show. We can do whatever the heck we want. And so, if you wanna share another poem, please do so. We will be delighted to hear it. So,
okay,
rock and roll. What's it called?
The Wonder of the Delusional.
Oh, nice one.
I know for a fact I am sent from above, because all I've ever felt is pure love. From the moment I arrived on this earth and took my first infant breath upon birth. For despite fact I'm forever single, I am no stranger to despair and bliss of romance, and have sought the great tingle coming from experience of first kiss, while hoping still to find unique one with whom to spend a joyful eternity, showing me secrets of eternity as she illuminates world like the sun, shining through perpetuity for all who have ever heard the song of God's call.
Wow, that's nice, man.
Like nice, I say, I'm focusing on this form. I think I found like my ideal form, so I'm just going to like go with it. And I mean, it's an outgrowth of a Shakespearean sonnet, and Shakespeare's most of his poetry is sonnets. So I'm following in Shakespeare's steps and doing sonnets. But I really feel like comfortable with the form, and I must have written like probably at least 1,000 Zunettes already. So. But I feel I'm like really getting to a new level of like mastery, So that's the form I'm sticking with, and I'm just going to develop that.
That is amazing, brother. This was beautiful. That was really beautiful. I appreciate you sharing that. Listen, as always, this is just a great time of my week. Saturday morning hanging out with you, brother. Today we were blessed. Honestly, we're literally blessed. We had 2 people watching the whole time. I think one of them is your friend, and I think the other person is Jeannie from Canada. I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to disrespect anyone, but I think that might be the case. And if it is, just leave a comment. I've been watching that little eye with the number 2, with a thumb up and a hug, the whole show. And I'm like, wow, I would have never in a million years, 13 years ago, thought this would be my life, that I would just go on and just talk without fear of judgment, without fear of sounding silly, without fear of saying something out of line. I would have never thought that. And, being able to do this today, I really hope this serves as an inspiration, because honestly, I am not that special. And if I can do it, anyone can. But I got to thank you for doing this. I really enjoy every single time we get together. And it's beautiful. This is not scripted, as everybody can tell. And it's just 2 normal, everyday men who are trying to do the best they can, who are sharing the story without filters. And, some things might be silly, some other things might be impactful. But hey, at the end of the day, it's your story, it's my story, and being able to share it with someone who just spent an hour and 10 minutes hanging out with us. Wow. There's no bigger gift. Honestly, this touches me incredibly. And I'm humbled by this, and I appreciate you doing this with me. And there wouldn't be a better partner to do this and having the those feelings and all of that, because I know it matters to you.
I'm just grateful. I mean, this all began, after you were on my Straight Sane and Sober show on YouTube, and I interviewed. We had a talk on Straight, Sane, and Sober after, the best interview I ever had with you on your show, and I'm just like thankful that you offered the opportunity for me to do this with you, and I know we're symbiotically equal, but I feel that your credentials are like much more impressive than as a coach and as a shamanic guide and as someone associated with Tony Robbins. Obviously those are just like titles and everything, and but ultimately, when I started talking about this, I said, yeah, I'm doing a show with Rodolfo. He's a trainer for Tony Robbins, just to like give it legitimacy, and he's a shamanic guide, and it's like just to like give it that legitimacy not only to other people but also to myself. But on the other hand, I also realize that we're equals, and and I think that's what the essence of the joy of the show is, or
Absolutely.
quality.
100% equal. In la que chalakin, as they say in South America, I am another yourself. And so, just a reflection of each other, and this is why this works, and it's beautiful the way it does. So it's a wrap, my brother. It's almost kind of like a shitty ass time, that farewell. It's like, what the heck? Why are we even switching this off? Let's keep the cameras rolling.
We just passed 1:11:11, so that doesn't really.
Oh, wow! There you go. So, yeah, great times, brother. Great times. I love you a lot, man. I wish you a beautiful, beautiful weekend and an amazing trip in Las Vegas. Please, reach out and send me some messages. Grace wants to go back to Vegas so bad, so we will have to organize this eventually this year. But yeah, so something is telling me that one day we will be together doing a show live next to each other this year. I'm putting it out there, and I will make it happen. So I can't wait for that moment to actually meet you in person. But this is all live here, and we're sharing straight out of our heart with anyone listening and watching. And I'm going to wrap this up by saying thank you to you, but also to you watching, listening, and just giving your time to spend it with us. I am blessed and humbled. So please subscribe to the show if you didn't yet. Leave us a comment, do everything like that. It will help us a lot. Let us know what you would like us to talk about. Perhaps we can bring that up as well. And or maybe just come on the show as a guest. That will be awesome to have three heads talking. So whatever it is, reach out to us. You can reach out on an email, podcast@rodolfodeangeli.com. If you want to come on the show, or just comment and we'll reach out to you. But yeah, this is me for this time around. I'm going to send the mic over to you, brother, to wrap it all up.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. As ever, I keep saying every time we do a show, Rodolfo, I said, I think this is the best show we've done so far. And, I continue to believe that. I think this, I think that as the show is a exercise in mutual growth, and the more we grow, then the better the show becomes. And I think it's important that it's possible for us to grow each week. And I just want to say thank you to our audience. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you, Rodolfo, for you, my Dubro, and there's Dave Myers. So hi, Dave. So have a great night, everybody. Have a great weekend. Hopefully, there we go, Jeannie. Okay. Hopefully everybody will be able to join us next week after my trip to Las Vegas, and I should have a lot to say. So, and that's another thing. I'm talking more now. It used to be I just like listen, but thank you, everybody, for your input, and enjoy the show, and have a great night and a great weekend and a great week, and have a good night. Okay, bye.
Ciao.